બે એકને મારી કે ભાઈ હું મોટો ને તારા કરતા તો હું મારી શકું. એકને થપ્પડ ખાધી એટલે 0 ગભરાઈ ગયો કે હવે તો મારો વારો, એટલે 0 છુપાઈને બેસવા. એટલે એક છે ને શોધતો આવ્યો અને 0 ને કે ભાઈ તું કેમ બેઠો છે? તો કે ના ના મને બીક લાગે, હવે મને મારો તું. એટલે એક કે તું ચિંતા ના કર, હું તારી બાજુમાં બેસી છું, આપણે નથી મારું મારવાનું. હવે એક 0 ની બાજુમાં બેઠો એટલે 0 ની વેલ્યુ 0 ની જગ્યાએ 10 થઈ ગઈ. ધ મોરલ ઇઝ કે મોટું કોણ, 9 કે જે 8 ને થપ્પડ મારે કે 1 કે જે 0 નું વેલ્યુ વધારે. સો આજે જે આપણો ટોપિક છે, જે સ્પીકર છે, એ એના જેવું છે કે આપણી વધારવા આવ્યા છે. આપણી પાસે જે આપણી લેવલ છે એનાથી એક સ્ટેપ, એક ડગલું આગળ જઈએ, કંઈક નવું કરીએ, એના માટે છે. સો with all the respect, I would like to welcome Sri Dangayach sir. He has been a great inspiration and I would like to ask my father to please give him a welcome. Thank you. He is truly a visionary leader and a source of inspiration. Right? So now I will invite Dr. Shivan sir to please give him an introduction about him. Thank you. Introduction prayer. To all those who do not pray, and that's our loss.
Thank you, Mr. Distinguished guests, esteemed guests, અને આજના આપના મુખ્ય વક્તા આપને બધાને એક એમના વિઝનની કે એમના કલ્પનાની અને એમના અનુભવની એવી વાતો સાથે આપણી સાથે શેર કરવા આવ્યા છે કે મને લાગે છે કે આપણે જે અહીંયા હાજર છે અને ઓનલાઈન પણ આપણી સાથે જે જોડાયેલા છે એ બધાને એમાંથી કંઈક વિશેષ દ્રષ્ટિ મળશે, કંઈક નવું કરવાની જિજ્ઞાસા થશે, એક ડિરેક્શન મળશે. To one and all, very warm welcome and very good morning. Here onwards, I would like to speak in English as this particular event is live across the country. In fact, I have been given the responsibility to give introduction of Sheikh Dangayach sir. Many of us, at least those who are not the recent pass out or they may not be having the full introduction of Dangayach ji, but most of us, or all Humayuns, we know him very well. But still, for those who have not known him or who have known him only few of his facets, I would like to brief it. And this is my rare privilege, I would say, that I'm giving an introduction of him. He has been a visionary leader whose life work, I would say, it beautifully bridges the industry, corporate world, service to nation, and the compassion to the science of humanity. Shri Dangayach ji is a distinguished alumnus of Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad, which is just across the road, and in not only countries but can be one of the global leading management institute from India. And he brings with him over 5 decades of exemplary leadership in corporate world, and his entrepreneurial kind of journey at Syntex industry stands as a benchmark in Indian industry, where he played a pivotal role in brand building innovation and sustainable growth long before the green concept was coined or which was a global mantra. And after an illustrious corporate career, Dangayach devoted himself to India-centric thought leadership, integrated healthcare and sustainable development. He is the founder trustee of Innovative Thought Forum, National Vice President of Arogya Bharati, and as you all know that he is patron of Homeopathic Medical Association of India also. Apart from that, he has served on various boards of leading institutions and industry such as GMDC, GSCL, GIPCL, GVFL, and presently on the board of governors of Oro University, Surat. For the homeopathic fraternity, Sri Dangayach is much more than a supporter. He is a pioneer and a pathfinder. As early as 2002-03, if I remember, he was instrumental in conceptualizing and successfully advocating implementation of National Home Remedy Kit program based on homeopathy, which was declared by none other than our Honorable Prime Minister then, Sri Atal Biharji Vajpayee, on 15th of August 2002 from Red Fort in his national speech. I think to my understanding and knowledge, this was the largest and possibly the first of its kind program to reach out to the end of the kind of the or the જે આપણે કહે છેવાડાના માનવી સુધી પહોંચવાની આ એક એમની પરિકલ્પના હતી જે એમણે વાજપેયીજી પ્રધાનમંત્રી હતા એમની સાથે શેર કરી અને it was reciprocated અને it became a national pilot program. This vision effort was also preceded by another milestone based in Ahmedabad that he established, and he was instrumental in establishing, supporting the kind of the homeopathic indoor patient ward at Civil Hospital Ahmedabad, which was once upon a time Asia's largest public health hospital in the country. And these are the few steps, I would say, that came from him, or for that matter, anybody from the homeopathic community to connect homeopathy to the public health. And he is one believer in green, clean and sustainable healthcare and has consistently advocated for homeopathy as people-centric, eco-friendly and greenest system of medicine on the earth. His vision strongly aligns with the concept of Ayushman Arogya Mandir, rooted in Ayush, where integrative, preventive and promotive healthcare becomes the foundation of national well-being. An ardent supporter of homeopathy, patron of Homeopathic Medical Association of India, as well as Global Homeopathy Foundation, and former chairman of Healwell International Limited, he has always supported the Homeopathic Medical Association of India, homeopathy at large, with his remarkable and generosity with clarity and courage. We Humayuns from Gujarat were proud to nominate him as patron of Humayun within our national body, and our National Executive Committee accepted him and this proposal without any hesitation. Today, we can say that he is not only an institutional builder, but he has conceptualized and conceived various programs, and he is mentored in the truest sense, constantly nurturing ideas, mentoring entrepreneurs, and encouraging young professionals to think beyond conventional boundaries. On a personal note, I remain deeply indebted to him for his mentoring, his affection, and his support, and inspiring me at various stages of my life, looking beyond being a homeopath and a clinician. Thank you very much, sir. And Dangayach's vision, conviction, and passion for homeopathy and integrative healthcare are truly beyond comparison and remain source of inspiration for all of us. Please join me in warmly welcoming a thought leader, a mentor, a passionate proponent of homeopathy, Sri Dangayach ji, with a huge round of applause. Is today's special talk, the pillar of a successful homeopathy practice, followed by his cherished dream of Suvin Homeopathic Kendra, will be, I'm sure that it would open up many ideas, many new pathways for us and for our colleagues. With that, I would like to invite Dangayach ji. The stage is yours, sir.
क्या ये डाउनलोड होगा फेसबुक में? हाँ।
Can you hear me?
तो सभी बातें सुन सकते हैं।
Namaskar, my friends from my homeopathic fraternity and my very highly respected mentor and guide, Hemant Bhai, who has specially come, though as you must be knowing, he is over 90 years of age. And when he learned that I will be sharing my thoughts with you, he desired that he be present over here at that time. All my friends who have joined me today on a Sunday are really worthy of all the praise and all the admiration from my side. I have been passionate believer in homeopathy since possibly 66 to 67 years. I saw it working in case of my elder sister who was suffering from a serious skin in Nawalgarh, which is a part of Jhanjhunur district in Rajasthan. And in those days, homeopathy was not practiced professionally as it is being practiced now. Homeopathy was considered to be a people's medicine, which was mainly, I would say, dispensed, mainly given in charitable institutions. And in our village or town, Nawalgarh, we had a school wherein a Bengali gentleman was the principal. And I still recall Principal Sanyal, who in his spare time used to give homeopathic medicines to all the people in the town or the nearby areas. So when my sister was suffering from a problem which could not be cured by the Vaidyas who were present in our town, it was not a small town, it was 30,000 to 35,000 population, but there was nobody who was able to bring about a cure. And there were very few allopathic doctors and nobody could help. Then somebody said that why not you take her to Principal Sanyal. And Principal Sanyal gave her some, say, of these white, say, globules. And within a week or 15 days, her problem subsided and then gradually went away. She had recurrence of the same problem after 2 years, almost at the same time. And again we went to Sanyalji, and Sanyalji brought about the cure and the results within 1 week. And thereafter, there was no recurrence of that skin problem. So seeing that magic, I felt that there must be something in it. As a young boy of 7 or 8 years, I thought that there must be something, and it left a very deep impression on my mind. After that, of course, I went to Bombay to study and then came to IIM Ahmedabad to finish my post-graduation here at IIM. And thereafter, I saw a board of Colonel Madanlal there in Ambawadi and Panchwati area. Many of you will be surprised to know that in the year 72, 73, there were very few practitioners of homeopathy. So when my son had a problem, and he was my first child, mother and father always concerned and worried about, say, even the smallest of the deviations that you observed. We took, say him to Dr. Duria, who was a pediatrician at that time, and used to practice across, say Nehru Bridge. He used to take him almost every second week. Every second week we had to go to the doctor, get some medicines, etc., etc. After some, say maybe 6 months or 7 months, we went to him and he said that your child is asthmatic. I fear that he will have to be on asthma medicines for all his life. And this was as a result of some kind of wheezing or some kind of possibly coughing that he had at night. And then I told my wife that why not we go to Colonel Madalla, whom I used to consult once in a while. But my wife, say, was not believing that he could, say, help her. So I said, let's, say, go, because taking medicines for asthma, for the whole life, for a child, is something, very problematic, and then we don't want to burden him with, say, all kinds of strong medicines and steroids. So I said, if you have any kind of a desire, let's have an alternative opinion. So we went to Colonel Madalla. As you all may be knowing, say his practice was very disciplined. Waited, in the queue, then he called us, and then I told him this is the problem. And he was a person who was always, considered to be the doctor or a practitioner who consults a book and gives. So he referred, and I'm sure he would have probably, picked up the right medicine for him. And said, I'm giving this 24 hours, let's see. If he sleeps well and he does not have the recurrence of that problem, then you can continue with this medicine for a few days. And if it recurs, then you come to me after 2 days. Fortunately, there was no problem for him at night, and next day he was, say, much better, and then he was, say, well. So that kind of a thing clearly made me again believe that there must be, say, something into homeopathy. So since, those 60, 65 years, I have been carrying a positive impression about homeopathy. And then internally I resolved to myself that I should work for homeopathy. So 30, 35 years back, I thought that we should give a shape, to homeopathy. And as Dr. Shivang said, we created Healwell Homeo Lab, and thereafter it was called Healwell International. And before that was called Syntex International. So that was the whole idea, that we should make medicines educated. I have been trying to understand what are the principles that work behind homeopathy. This is a subject which has not been resolved even till today. Homeopathic science is not understood, though it has been working extremely well. Less is more in homeopathy, and more is more in homeopathy, in allopathy. Now these two things are at different angles, and there isn't any so-called rational or scientific explanation that the modern scientists can give. I have been speaking at many places for homeopathy, and I should tell you that generally people in the homeopathic community believe that I am a very strong proponent, and at many of the places I have introduced myself as a lover of homeopathy, since I am not a doctor. In LMCP International Conference a few years ago, I was invited as the first speaker with a small introduction that he is a genuine lover of homeopathy, and therefore for the international conference we want him to come and share his thoughts. I naturally was very delighted. And likewise, whether it is Arogya Bharati or we talk about say the other fora, or in the GHF scientific conferences, I am invited to share my thoughts. As Dr. Shivang said, I come from a very different background. I come from a corporate background, and I come from, you may say, a business background. And since I am a Marwadi, all put together, I am able to somehow either conceptualize entrepreneurial or business opportunities in every field that I am connected with. And since I am connected with homeopathy, I always believe that entrepreneurial opportunities in homeopathy have not yet been tapped. And this I can say with surety because of the fact that those who have ventured look at new directions and opportunities have been very big. Mukesh Batra, for example, Dr. Batra, is known to me because of my college days. I used to study in Bombay in Jain College, doing my BSc. Mukesh Batra was also in the same college, probably a year or two junior to me. He was doing his chemistry. His father was a homeopathic doctor, and I still remember meeting in the balconies or in the galleries and maybe the canteens. He was a very, very maybe fun-loving kind of a person, and we used to chat. After decades, I saw his name as one of the prominent pioneers in the field of homeopathy. And you got Dr. Batra's clinic all over the nation, which is offering different kinds of services appropriately designed for the audience of this country or outside. And look at the business that he has been able to build. While I was running Syntex International Limited, I remember that there was a stage when our management wanted to look at certain acquisition opportunities. And I remember going to Sharda Boiron Laboratories or SPL at that point of time and talking to Dr. Jugal Kishore. I don't know whether people are aware about Dr. Jugal Kishore, who was probably one of the most renowned homeopathic doctors, and he had then ventured into the manufacture of homeopathic medicines under the name of Sharda Boiron Limited, which is now known as SPL. Dr. Jugal Kishore, along with his partners, had taken collaboration from Boiron Lab in Lyon, in France. But somehow or other it was tottering. It was not doing very well, or maybe the partners wanted to follow a different direction. So I learned that they may be looking for a buyer of the company. So I went to Dr. Jugal Kishore and convinced him that we could be considered as a potential contender. Dr. Jugal Kishore then, in those days, so whatever the communication medium, telex, or say maybe fax or something, he sent it over to them and fixed my meeting in Boiron lab there in Lyon, France. So I went over there and had probably a day or two of intensive meetings. It is another thing that the deal could not come through. We missed an opportunity because SPL, as you know very well, is a very renowned company. But there were two things that happened. One, Jugal Kishore ji was very impressed and very clear that a company like yours will be appropriate owner and will be a suitable owner to take homeopathy forward. And over there, the owners were also very pleased. They had started off as homeopathic medicine dispenser in one of the shops, and from there they started manufacturing. Many of you may be knowing that Boiron is clearly the largest manufacturer of homeopathic medicines. But I saw what all they were doing. I must say that they had an excellent manufacturing facility, state-of-the-art modern manufacturing facility. And second thing that I observed was that they were looking at carrying out research, carrying out many different kinds of works, scientific works, to validate how homeopathy works. You are all exposed to classical homeopathy. Boiron is not exactly following classical homeopathy as pronounced or as written by Hahnemann and his followers. Two examples that I would like to give you. I learned from them oscillococcinum, which is possibly the biggest brand for prevention and treatment of flu in the US, was validated by them in a manner that will be acceptable to the policymakers. After doing it in France, they took it to America, again they validated, and now it is the largest selling flu medicine for homeopathy or other than homeopathy. But I had a very interesting discussion with a gentleman whom I was visiting in Lyon for another work. There there was again, our involvement with fiberglass, and there was a factory, say, from where we wanted to buy or we want to collaborate. So I was sitting, say, with the general manager of that company, and he told me one or two things about homeopathy, which really, made me very delighted. This gentleman whom I was visiting, he was a marathon runner. And he said that I have run, maybe 30 marathons all over the world. And when he knew that I am going to visit Boiron, so he said, do you know, how am I now, able to run without, the pain, without a problem, all throughout, the 25 or 30 kilometers? I said, I don't know how you do it. He said, they showed me a medicine, which was from Boiron, which was arnica based. But arnica had a potential of 9x in that, or 9C, I don't remember that. It was called spontaneity. So they had taken, the arnica and some other elements in different potencies, not necessarily 30, not necessarily 200, not necessarily 6, 8, 9, 5, 6, something like that, and made that into a branded product called Protein. He said most of the sportsmen in France take this medicine and are able to reduce pain or possibly have a very quick recovery after the sports event is over. Protein brand. So they created a brand, and this brand was there with this, the particular gentleman, and naturally he was very happy that I was going to visit, the Boiron in the evening. And therefore, I found that Boiron not only did research, not only published papers, which were of, you can say, of a different type of quality and different types of rigor than the others, but could convince policymakers in France, policymakers in Europe, and certain policymakers in the US that this is something that is appropriate. Why I am talking to you about this is that there are companies who thought differently, and accordingly they created the market. US companies or the German companies, all of you must be knowing about Schwabe. I had gone to Schwabe in Karlsruhe many years back. This was all out of my love for homeopathy. So I went over there, and then naturally, so I wanted to find out whether we could collaborate with them. What I found to my surprise was that Schwabe, the homeopathy company, was taken over by a private equity or by a family which had more interest in allopathy. So they have been continuing homeopathy, but in a subdued manner. Their primary focus is to see how they can grow their other allopathy business. I used to interact with the people in the allopathic world because from the very beginning I said that we have to coexist. Homeopathy has its own place, allopathy has its own place. And very interestingly, in the very premises that we are talking in, we had Dr. Mashelkar as a keynote speaker for Vikram Sarabhai Memorial Lecture. I don't know how many of you know about Dr. Mashelkar. Have you heard about Dr. Mashelkar? How many have heard about Dr. Mashelkar?
Scientist.
Dr. Mashelkar was Director General of Central Council of Scientific and Industrial Research. Number one scientist in the country at that point of time. Thereafter, he rose very high and he is on the board of many companies including Reliance. He is a personal advisor to Mukesh Bhai Ambani. Because of his, you can say, scientific prowess, because of his wisdom, he is probably considered as one of the best that the country has produced. Padma Vibhushan, etc., are all there with Mashelkar. When Government of India wanted to go for integrative system of medicine to be the main course, because Vajpayee ji was very convinced, and when Ayush department was created in the Ministry of Health, at that point of time, Mashelkar ji was given the task of integrating all by bringing together scientific community of CSIR, medical community, say, from the Ministry of Health, and the other, say, people from Ayurveda and homeopathy. And it was called a Golden Triangle project, which went on for quite some time. So Mashelkar ji was here in AMA. And he was obviously, talking about scientific progress that the country has made. After it was over, I sought 1 or 2 minutes of him. And I said, sir, I want to talk to you about a very, very tricky, say, problem, and a very, say, maybe kind of an intricate problem that has been troubling my mind. I've been working on homeopathy And I've been working, with the homeopathic world, and I always, say, think that we should look at the way the science works. They said, what is your question? I said, sir, in allopathy, we know more is more. In homeopathy, less is more. But the fact is that homeopathy also works as much as allopathy works. People consider it to be a placebo. People dismiss it as to be, the white globules, and they say that this is not science. This is placebo. But the fact is that homeopathy works on children. Homeopathy works on animals. So how can you call it a placebo? There is something more than that. And then he said, what is your question? What exactly do you want to know from me? So I said, sir, you are having a control on several thousand scientists in the country. Maybe 8,000, maybe 9,000, I don't know. They are all under your control. And you got something like 40 or 60 or 50 laboratories. I want one scientist or two scientists who can work on finding out how homeopathy works. How this potentization and dilution makes the substance more impactful and more effective and more potent. So as we go higher in the potency, we are having, say, higher power. Now this is not understood because the conventional science stops at Avogadro number. So beyond the potency of 6, you can't detect anything that it works. So I want to find out, sir, how it works, and we are willing to, as a company, as an individual, I am prepared to sponsor one scientist who will work on it 3, 4, 5 years and then come up with the results. He was not able to do offhand. He said, no, I straight away can't think of any scientist, but do send me a mail. I sent him a mail. I sent him 3 mails, and he finally could not reply. He gave up. He said, Mr. Dangayach, I just can't find any scientist. But very interestingly, since this particular question of mine stayed with him and intrigued him, he asked his next man, Dr. V. Prakash. Again, you may not be knowing who is Dr. V. Prakash, but Dr. V. Prakash is one of the, again, most eminent scientists this country has produced. So Dr. V. Prakash, he used to be the Director General in those days, or Director of Central Food Technology Research Institute, CFTRI. He is also the author and he is the first chairman of FSSAI, about which you may be knowing, Food Safety and Standards Authority of India. He is the creator. So he is a formidable scientist. So while he was here in Ahmedabad, I remember he was staying in PRL guest house, next door. So he invited me over there and we spent a few hours together. He said, Mr. Dangayach, you have put a question to Mashelkar, and he has asked me to talk to you because still we are not able to get anybody to work on it. But Dr. Prakash at that time was aware about nanosciences. What you hear about nanosciences has happened in the last 10-15 years. Before that, nanosciences was not a kind of a subject which was appreciated by the scientific community. So he said, Dangayach, I have come across nanosciences, I'm working on it, and I think homeopathy possibly can be connected to nanoscience. So nanoscience again stops at maybe, say 1 upon 10 raised to, you may say 10 raised to 15 or 10 raised to 21. It stops at a level which is not beyond a potency of 7 or 8 or something like that. So I said, what happens to the potency of 30 and what happens to 200? He said, let's make a beginning at least to put homeopathy in the realm of nanosciences, how it works. And then we will go. But anyway, nothing much happened. Dr. Prakash and I are very well maybe connected, and we talk almost every month on a variety of subjects. Why I am telling you this is that scientific community has not been able to explain. So when they say homeopathy is not scientific, please appreciate that they are not making a truthful statement. Since you cannot understand, you call it unscientific. I have been always saying that if you cannot understand, then you can say that homeopathy is beyond science. I can't understand, I can't follow. For example, if I go to a Jain Rishi or Jain Muni and then you talk to him, what is your method, what is maybe your rationale behind working, and I can't follow, then I can't say that whatever you are saying is all wrong and whatever I am saying is right. I'll say I can't understand, please pardon. So this is the situation that we are in. point is that homeopathy is a science which is still to be understood. And believe me or not, in Sanskrit we have got two words, pratyaksha and paroksh. Science is always talking about pratyaksha. Science cannot understand paroksh. What you can see, what you can validate is only very small, a very minuscule portion of what is there in the world, what is there in the globe, and what is there in the cosmos. So whatever you cannot understand, you just cannot say that it is absolutely wrong or irrational. It is rational, it is working, so we have to validate it in some other form. So while I maybe have been interacting in this world of homeopathy, I am finding that there are a whole lot of things which really can open up huge opportunities. Some 2 months back, I was asked to speak to, I think, Father Müller College of Homeopathy online, and they said that you are not in a position to come for the conference, so at least address our students. And I shared my thoughts with them. And I said, homeopathy is a huge reservoir of opportunities. And why it is? Because of that, because of what? So I just put them in a few verticals, and I said I share my thoughts on a few of them. So the first thought came to my mind was that surgical wards, surgical hospitals use only allopathy. They don't wish to use, they don't support use of anything other than allopathy. That is because of a wrong notion and wrong belief that surgeons are allopaths. How many of you think that surgery is a part of allopathy? Anybody else? Do you think that surgery is a part of allopathy?
Apart.
Is surgery is hard? Who is the founder of surgery in the world?
Sushru.
Sushru. And what was Sushru? So surgery was a part of Ayurvedic practice 2,500, 3,000 years ago. When did allopathy come into being?
500 years.
Any other answers? When did allopathy originate?
1800th century.
200 years ago.
Yeah.
Who gave the term allopathy to the world?
Master Henry.
Why did he give?
Means opposite.
Allo means hetero, no principle related with the suffering and the disease.
What was Hahnemann himself? So Hahnemann was an allopath, so-called allopath. Allopathy means opposite. So you give a treatment which is opposite to the symptoms and you get the results. If you got fever, try to depress the fever. If you got pain, try to suppress pain. And that is how allopathy works. So in a way, Ayurveda also has got a branch which is allopathic in principle of action. So founder of homeopathy was an allopath. And he gave the term homeopathic to the word, similar cure similar, similia similibus curentur. So he said similar, and you know very well, I don't have to explain to you. But when other people asked what name or what term should be used for something which is working in the opposite manner, and it was Hahnemann who gave the word or the term or the nomenclature allopathy to the word. So allopathy is definitely as old as, less older than Hahnemann life himself. So it's around 200 years old. Surgery therefore is not allopathy. Surgery is a procedure, it is a therapy which is independent of medicinal sciences. Independent of Ayurveda, Ayurvedic medicines, because Ayurveda again is very loosely understood. Ayurveda is a science of life. So Ayurveda has got everything in it. It has got obviously food, ahar, which are, I mean, I will not like to talk about Ayurveda, but Ayurveda is a kind of a complete science by itself. Allopathy is a very small part. So, within Ayurveda, again you have got many allopathic kind of medicines that are required. So, I mean, Hahnemann gave this term, and after that it has prospered. Surgery is not allopathic, it is independent of all medicinal sciences. Then I talk about diagnostics. Is diagnostics allopathic?
No.
Measuring temperature is allopathic?
No.
Measuring BP is allopathic?
No.
Measuring sugar level is allopathic? PSA level, there are thousands and thousands of now diagnostics. They are all independent adjuncts to medical sciences. So surgery is not allopathic, diagnostics is not allopathic. Which is the most powerful branch of allopathy that the world knows now? Which is the most powerful branch or more powerful vertical of allopathy that you can name?
Emergency critical care.
Vaccination.
Next, let's see whether you can catch all of it, because my job is to now interact with you. I can speak, but that's not fair. So which is the most powerful part or vertical of allopathy today? Surgery is not allopathy.
Surgery. Vaccination.
Surgery is not allopathy. It's a wrong thing, which has been imposed on our minds.
Genetics.
Which is the most powerful and most profitable part of allopathy?
Vaccines.
Antibiotic.
Investigation.
Vaccines. Is vaccine allopathic? Is vaccination allopathic? What is it doing? Vaccine is a kind of an object or material that is put into the body for what? For creating antibodies. And therefore, when an organism strikes you, the antibody is earlier created within the body, will take care of that. That is what is the principle of vaccination. Something similar to maybe nosodes, something similar to sarcodes, something similar which is there in homeopathy. So vaccination is again not allopathy. So what is left in allopathy? What is left in allopathy? After vaccination, because which is not allopathy, but it is an adopted child of allopathy. You get my point or not? Vaccination is not allopathy. And something that will surprise you, that vaccination is again not originally from the West. Do you know where did the vaccination arise and where did the vaccination take its birth?
India.
Documents reveal, I am not speaking. Documents reveal that vaccination, as a matter of fact, originated in India in the 6th century. Almost 1500 to 1700 years ago. It was a very common thing in India, in the Gurukuls, to take the pus out of an infected child and put that into healthy children's bodies. So two things were very common at that point of time. The knowledge was already created. How to take the pus out, how to give a cut into the body of the other children and put that pus over there. This method is inoculation. It traveled, say, over centuries, from India to Arabia, from there to Europe. So we are talking about Jenner, Edward Jenner, who is credited with so-called vaccination. He was told by his washerwoman that when some something, say, maybe happens, this is what, say, is done in our community. She was possibly from some, maybe, Banjara community or something, and they traveled, let's see, maybe to many parts of the world. So, he took up the task of seeing how this can be done, and he took the pus of a cow. A cow smallpox, pus taken from it, was put into a healthy body to validate whether this is correct or not. One or two people. And since cow is called vaxa in Roman or Greek, the method of inoculation of it into the healthy body was called vaccination. So vaccination is inoculation of a cowpox into a human being, and the rest of it is history. So vaccination is also not allopathic. So three things which are very, very maybe great in allopathy are not allopathic. All of them have been either borrowed, stolen, or adopted from the others, and a wrong propagandized way. I don't want to comment on that. But we maybe come back to allopathic medicines. Today, when we are talking about disease burdens, and we look at the infectious and non-infectious. Non-infectious could be the lifestyle diseases. And when we look at, say maybe, the infectious, there are all kinds of the things that are there. So when there are infectious, we think that we can control them either through a process of vaccination. We can mitigate it. And you know very well that all kinds of vaccines are available today. Dozens and dozens of them. And when we talk about the medicines, we have got probably antibiotics and then the steroids. Two very, very powerful branch and family of medicines. What diseases are they able to treat? So allopathic practice has got grave limitations because they don't have a repertory of products or solutions which can. But then antibiotics have created their own branch of problems. What is that? AMRs. AMR is being talked about a lot. Antimicrobial resistance. And how this antimicrobial resistance is coming is another subject, but you will be surprised that antibiotics consumption is mainly in the animals, birds, fishes. I mean, these are the kinds of things that are also being administered antibiotics or steroids in a big way. And obviously, when we have those foods, they come into our bodies. They come into our bodies over a period of time, we develop a resistance, which we call as AMR. Besides, of course, a rampant consumption of antibiotics for problems that they are not supposed to solve. Viral problems cannot be solved by antibiotics, but the prevention of some maybe thing in the future, the practice of the doctor is involving a straight administration of an antibiotic like Ziffy or something, which later on all of us through the chemistry on our own start consuming and putting into our body. And then over a period of time antimicrobial resistance develops. And today in India antimicrobial resistance is very, very high, which is likely to create a problem of so-called superbugs. So we take out antibiotics. Then what is left? Steroids. How many places that can use steroids? And steroids have got very powerful side effects. So there are all kinds of side effects of these medicines. And then we have got simple paracetamol and many other chemicals which we take. Lifestyle diseases are not cured. You will agree with me. So what do the lifestyle diseases call for? Management. So allopathic medicines are used for managing diseases. When I talk to any homeopathic doctor or homeopathic community, they always say that we bring about a cure. We believe in total cure. My question to you is, do you always require a total cure? As practitioners, Are you happy with bringing about a cure from the bottom or cure from the root? Because that will always elude you. Large section of people want mitigation, want management. Because today, bringing about a total elimination from the root of a disease may be a very long process. And in the current times, when you are practicing, that sort of a liberty and that sort of luxury is not available. So you want management. Why I am talking to you is because I remember speaking to Dr. Bhatt, US Bhatt of Animal Laboratories in Calcutta, who are supposed to be one of the best manufacturers of homeopathic medicines. As Dr. Shivang said, we have evolved different kinds of kits. So we have a family kit of single medicines, 24 medicines in a box, travel kit of 6 medicines, injury kit, and then we have come up with a kind of a combination kit, which will take care of the common problems like cold, cough, fever, etc., but combination. So I was telling Dr. Bob that practice now demands that we come up with something which can be done immediately and something that can be done in the long run. People don't have time to come and sit and then possibly go through the entire, gamut of question answer for half an hour, an hour. Practitioner is also not having the patience, nor the patient has the patience. So how do we do it quickly? So I said combination medicines, which I have seen in many parts of the country or many parts of the world, will be appropriate after due whatever validation. I was maybe exposed to many of these things like spontanein I talked about. Likewise, many other medicines, maybe from Dolly Source and others, and I said, why not we have combination medicines promoted here? And Dr. Gordon was totally opposite to that and totally maybe resistant to my idea. Within half an hour he was convinced. He said, yes, we must create combination medicine. I don't want to go through the arguments and discussions that we had. But somebody like Dr. Bohr agreed that yes, there is a place, and that's how in Syntax International we created all types of medicines like cold heal, cough heal, flu heal, etc., which are easy to understand, can be taken, and can at least give you partial relief. So there are a lot of businesses in the practice which are dependent on management, mitigation, relief. As you all know very well, while medicines are working, body is also working. So many a times, for self-limiting diseases, giving relief is the only thing that we can do. And that is a very big chunk of the practice. But I come back to surgery and I come back to the hospitals. The most important thing is that for a whole lot of surgeries, and I can count top 3. The first is a cesarean section, which is supposed to be largest in number. In cesarean sections, what kind of medicines are given before or after the surgery? Can somebody tell me?
Antibiotics.
Correct. Antibiotics. And what else?
Painkiller.
And what else? Third is antacid. Because you are giving antibiotic, you have got acidity, antacid, and obviously you must say painkiller. What kind of medicines are given to somebody who has been through an orthopedic hospital? Pardon?
Results reduction.
See, same. I can talk about those other operations. Similar kind of things are necessarily given. And these are large numbers. Obviously, all of you will not be knowing the statistics, but cataract, of course, cataract operations, eye operations constitute the largest number. But even after the cataract, you know very well, there are certain antibiotic drugs or certain steroid drugs which are given routinely. But when you look at the operations, before or after, there can be solutions in Ayurveda, there can be solutions in homeopathy, which can bring about a relief and a faster healing. So can you think of giving something, say to all the patients who are undergoing operations or surgeries? Which medicine in homeopathy you think they can help? So is there a market for arnica? Market has to be created. A market can be created only if either the manufacturers or practitioners or the promoters are interested. So how it is to be created? This is what we have to think about. You would have also read that arnica has to be given before tooth extraction. Correct or not correct? Is tooth extraction an operation? It's an operation. You are cutting out something, you are taking out something, and you therefore would like to see that your healing is faster and pain is less. Can calendula help?
Yes.
So you got arnica, you got calendula, or echinacea, or some such thing. I mean, you have to think about it. Given to a patient will obviously do a lot of good to him. And how much it is going to cost?